TV's news magazine, bringing current affairs in a Christian context. I am Alicia Taylor, and today with me is Sheena Hansel. Coming up in our news, we have what has changed and what has not changed for Christians in 2020. Church Girl Problems, God-Given Solutions by Samantha Thompson, and of course, health and wellness, taking care of your mental and emotional health. We have a wonderful and a very insightful package lined up for you today. But we go to Sheena, who takes us to what has changed and what has not changed for Christians in 2020.
What has changed? Number one, marriage and human sexuality. The incoming administration seeks to pass the so-called Equality Act, which adds sexual orientation and gender identity to the 1964 Civil Rights Act. This could once again target bakers, florists, and photographers who refuse to participate in marriages between homosexuals. Joe Biden has said he considers any opposition to 8 and 10-year-olds seeking to change their sex to be discrimination. Just like with racial justice and women's rights, we are seeing pushback against all the progress we've made towards equality. Biden said it will be the first thing I asked to be done. Number two, religious liberty. The new administration promises to restore the Obamacare mandate that requires Catholic organizations such as the Little Sisters of the Poor to pay for contraceptives. The party platform rejects broad religious exemptions that allow businesses, medical providers, social service agencies, and others to discriminate. Such a policy could restrict Catholic agencies that don't place children with homosexual couples, Jewish schools that follow biblical definitions of marriage, and nurses forced to help arrange abortions. What has not changed? God's law and morals. The Bible says He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And the Bible is the foundation of truth. We will align our life with the will and purposes for God. We will not bow. We stand for His truth. His truth is His truth, and the truth shall set us free. And what has not changed? Number two, God's love. While we were yet sinners, He died for us. God didn't came for the righteous, but for sinners to repentance. That means He doesn't hate the sinners, but He hates the sin. Therefore, we are loved. We should just align ourselves with what He wants for us, what He designed.
Guided by his faith as a practicing Roman Catholic, but some of his political positions do run contrary to the teaching of the faith. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales reports. Eric?
Well, Tracy, let's go way back to 1974. Then a 31-year-old Senator, Joe Biden, said that Roe versus Wade went too far. Today, it's a much different story. The Catholic Democrat says if elected to the presidency, he says that he plans to expand access to abortions. Tonight, we take a closer look at Joe Biden's political belief and how it clashes with his faith. A campaign ad from February highlights how Joe Biden relies on his faith to see him through the times of trial in his life.
My religion is just an enormous sense of solace.
Democratic nominee Joe Biden says he's in a battle for the soul of the nation, and he's highlighting his Catholic identity to connect with voters. In an EWTN News Real Clear Opinion Research Online poll of U.S. Catholic voters earlier this year, 51% said that they would vote for Joe Biden versus 40% who would re-elect President Trump, and 8% said they don't know. A recent Pew study had similar findings. Catholic nominee Joe Biden supports abortion in contrast to Catholic teaching. The Catechism of the Catholic Church explains, quote, "They are guilty of scandal who establish laws or social structures leading to the decline of morals, which would extend to those who publicly support the killing of the unborn." Joe Biden also supports same-sex marriage. In June 2015, when the Supreme Court ruled same-sex marriage was legal nationwide, then Vice President Joe Biden said in a statement, quote, "We couldn't be prouder. All marriages at their root are defined by unconditional love." And in 2016, he officiated the wedding of two same-sex former White House staffers. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops says since marriage originated from God, then, quote, "neither church nor state can alter the basic meaning and structure of marriage." Joe Biden has met Pope Francis several times, including at the Vatican and during the Holy Father's 2015 visit to the U.S. Capitol. In a video released earlier this month, Joe Biden highlighted the special affection he has for Catholic nuns.
The first people I saw were a group of nuns who, to me, epitomize everything Pope Francis talked about. Being raised as a Catholic and educated by the nuns, that's what those lovely women I'm talking to symbolized.
Biden's campaign also promises as president that he will in fact restore all federal funding for Planned Parenthood and its affiliates. Tracy?
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. Eric Rosales reporting from Capitol Hill.
Now we will go back to Alicia Taylor.
Thank you so very much, Sheena. Church girl problems, God-given solutions with Samantha Thompson. Samantha Thompson is not here with us today, but she will be. But I will be able to speak on this topic for her. You know, the Bible says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Samantha Thompson came up with her vlog, Church Girl Problems, God-given solutions, as a way of allowing the Christian girls in her circle an avenue of getting answers to questions no one wanted to address. It's a forum, she says, that allows women to share concerns or fears and ask questions as it relates to their walk and journey as Christian. Church Girl Problems tackles taboo in church, the day-to-day struggles and questions that we are afraid to ask. And all questions are answered by a team of anonymous, anointed men and women of God who have no idea who asked the questions. They just give a God-given solution. I'm so excited. So we're going to hear some of the church girl problems, some of the problems that the young ladies are having. And one young lady says, the guy I'm courting is a newly appointed pastor who I feel a burden to be in the public with. I know how people will view me with him. It could make or break his ministry. What should I do? Should I feel this way? And the solution, the God-given solution, was that given his position, they both must do things in proper manner. Remember, he now leads a flock, and everything he does affects the person he is responsible to lead. Too much publicity is not recommended, especially if they are not engaged. Would suggest that they be accountable to an elder in the church. I like that God-given solution. I hope you like it too. And the next one says, I'm heavily concerned about the men in the kingdom. Either they're married and not satisfied and looking outside of marriage to be satisfied, or some of them insecure of their masculinity, trending fashionably or gay. Me is rather concerned. I can't tell the difference. Who God's daughters for married? And the God-given solution, there is a reason for concern in these regard. Men who are churchgoers are different from men of the kingdom. Men of the kingdom are not confused about their sexuality. No. And they try to live upright, not a life of sexual perversion. We have to pray that the people of God, men and women alike, will really walk in integrity. It is a sad situation. I completely agree. Men of the kingdom know themselves, right? So the next church girl problem. I think when God created man, it was just an amazing piece of art. I agree. The way his body is designed to appeal to the woman's needs, I'm having a hard time understanding why my body wants this so much. So I masturbate just to ease the tension. Is it wrong to do it? Here is the solution. Firstly, desire for the opposite sex is innate. It's natural. Nothing is wrong with that. However, you have a choice to resist the lustful feelings if you so choose. Yes, masturbation is wrong as it is fulfilling your lust and it does not bring glory to God. It might be challenging breaking the habit, but if you make up your mind, the ability to not give place to self-gratification gets easier. Come on and preach up in here. Intentionally grow your spirit, man, and gradually you will become stronger in this regard. I like that one. I really like that one. And the final one says, younger guys always like me, and me really want to help them find themselves and be better men. But only Jesus saves. And the solution is, well, it's one's personal choice. Some young men are level-headed and know themselves through that. If you don't think the individual is self-aware or seems to be heading somewhere, then so be it. Remember, it is not your responsibility to raise a son, but we still have to be helpmates to our partner. I love it. And that was Church Girl Problem. So if you're a church girl and you have questions, you have concerns, and nobody wants to answer them, then you can send in your questions on Facebook or IG at Church Girl Problems, God-given solutions. Hey, yeah. And so we move on to our health and wellness segment. The effects of social isolation on mental health are known to be significant, which makes caring for our emotional and mental health, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, very critical. Emotional health plays an important role in people's lives. It affects the way they feel and behave. It influences their success in relationships, in work, in school, and in other parts of our lives. It's closely related to how satisfied and happy people are. The terms emotional health and mental health are usually used to describe a state of well-being. Some people think of emotional or mental health as the absence of mental illness. But researchers now suggest that emotional health, like physical health, is something everyone can improve by learning and practicing health boosting skills. Young people can learn skills to improve their emotional health. They can train themselves to respond in healthy ways to strong feelings and challenging events. When people learn and practice steps to good emotional health, they can have happy and more fulfilling lives. People with good emotional health tend to make good choices about their physical health. They're more likely to avoid alcohol, drugs, and they make responsible choices. They eat healthy foods and are physically active. So we're going to go through 7 tips to improve your mental and emotional health. Tip number 1, get your body moving. I know we don't like to exercise, but exercise is very important. Psychology Today explains that getting your body moving allows for the release of endorphins that relieve stress and improve your emotional state. So whether you want to walk up a flight of stairs, or you want to jog in the morning, or you want to do a few jumping jacks, get your body moving. Number 2, surround yourself with good people. The company that you keep will have an enormous impact on your mental health. Did you know that each individual is the average of the 5 people they most frequently associate with? Look in your circle. Who are those 5 persons that you're associating with? This is why it's critical to make sure the people around you are supportive and they're positive and they're good for you. Being around the wrong people can contribute to mental illness and so invite additional problems into your life. We don't need any more problems. Life too stressful already. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to put your needs first. If you always put other people first, you will come last. This doesn't mean that you should disregard the feelings or the needs of those you care about, but you should be aware of when you need to look out for yourself. And tip number 4, get a good night's rest. That tip is for me. Just like exercise, a healthy support system and balance, getting a good night's rest is another critical way to improve your mental health. Stop fighting sleep. It does not help us. When you sleep, your brain and your body can refresh and recharge, and then in turn helps you to be at your best during your waking hours. So go to your bed. Tip number 5, keep a journal. Writing down your thoughts in a journal or even on paper is another excellent tip for bettering your mental health. I journal a lot. The process is therapeutic and it can assist you in processing your emotions. Journaling is not only a great stress reliever, but this craft also allows you to reflect, and later on you can come back to your writing. Tip number 6, cut out bad habits. Bad habits can genuinely wreak havoc upon mental health. Worse yet, it can be challenging to realize this when certain behavior habits are familiar and ingrained. Sometimes short-term gratification is not worth the adverse long-term consequences. If you are not sure whether something is a bad habit, ask yourself, how does this choice impact me? Am I being enriched? Am I being drained? Right? So, tip number 7, take up a new hobby. Sometimes improving your mental health means pushing or challenging yourself in a constructive manner. This is where taking up a healthy new hobby can prove to be especially valuable. Ideally, this hobby should be something that you enjoy and you can do, on a semi-regular basis. You can take up a new hobby by yourself or with a new friend. Either way, trying something new can often provide a necessary boost to mental health. And remember that the Lord desires that we prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers.
Right now, we are living in abnormal times. And it's normal to have a response where you're feeling anxious or stressed when abnormal things are going on. There are a number of things you can do to maintain your wellness in a difficult and stressful time. The first thing I like to talk with people about is the idea of making sure you do a good job of maintaining a boundary between work and home. It's really easy to forget the boundaries between the two so that your work and home life balance bleed into each other, and that can lead to a lot of stress. In order to stop that from being a major problem, we're recommending that people are a little bit more vigilant in their scheduling to make sure that there are clear demarcated boundaries between what's work and what's home. So making sure that you have built-in time to your day to take a break from work, to get outside, and to really not be focusing on work is an important first step. The second thing people are struggling with is time management. One of the biggest problems we're finding is that we all have a lot more stuff on our plate, and it's really hard not to feel like we have to attend to everything. So it's really important to also maintain a tighter schedule and be more consistent with people who you're working at a distance now with at what you can and can't get done. The third thing that's really important in order to maintain your wellness is to make sure you're getting a proper amount of activity and you're actually getting outside of your house as much as possible. So we're recommending that people maybe increase the amount of things they're doing for physical activity, creating that routine of activity, whether it's intense exercise or just getting out and going for a walk around the block with a loved one is something that you're making sure happens on a regular basis. A fourth thing that's really important is to make sure to work time in directly devoted, and in particular to activities that help you cultivate other interests. For some people, that means starting to cook home-cooked meals more often or more regularly. For others, that means playing board games, and still others are starting new hobbies. All of those things can be great for helping you maintain a sense that there are other things in your life going on and filling your time.
And remember, God desires that we prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. In a 5-4 ruling, the justices told New York Governor Andrew Cuomo he can't discriminate against religious groups when it comes to COVID-19 restrictions. Newest Justice Amy Coney Barrett gave the majority in this ruling its 5th vote. Chief Justice John Roberts joined the 3 liberal justices in dissent. Even in a pandemic, the Constitution cannot be put away and forgotten. The ruling said members of this court are not public health experts, and we should respect the judgment of those with special expertise and responsibility in this area. But even in a pandemic, the Constitution cannot be put away and forgotten. The restrictions at issue here, by effectively barring many from attending religious services, strike at the very heart of the First Amendment's guarantee of religious liberty. The Religious Liberty Defense Group Beckett represented Orthodox Jews asking for relief from Cuomo's restrictions. Beckett's senior counsel Luke Goodrich reacted, stating, "Biggest takeaway, the court resoundingly rejects blind deference to COVID-19 related restrictions on worship. Instead, all governments must recognize the Constitution still controls during a pandemic. The court labeled the restrictions Cuomo has slapped on attendance at religious services very severe, pointing out in red zones no more than 10 persons may attend each religious service, and in orange zones attendance is capped at 25. The justices said the COVID-19 restrictions certainly aren't neutral towards religion because they single out houses of worship for especially harsh treatment. While religious gatherings in a red zone are limited to 10 or fewer worshippers, the court pointed out businesses categorized as essential may admit as many people as they wish. And the list of essential businesses includes things such as acupuncture facilities, campgrounds, garages, as well as many whose services are not limited to those that can be regarded as essential. In a concurrence, Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote, "It's tasked time to make that plain. While the pandemic poses many grave challenges, there is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bikes and shops but shutters churches and synagogues. It is hard to believe that admitting more than 10 people to a 1,000-seat church or 400-seat synagogue would create a more serious health risk than the many other activities that the state allows," the ruling said. Beckett Senior Counsel Eric Rashbach works with the Jewish plaintiffs in this case. He said after the ruling, Governor Cuomo should have known that openly targeting Jews for a special COVID crackdown was never going to be constitutional, but treating synagogues and churches worse than the pet stores, the liquor stores, and the department stores also just didn't make any sense. Rashbach added, the Supreme Court was right to step in and allow Jews and Catholics to worship as they have for centuries. The Heritage Foundation's Ryan T. Anderson, a leading defender of religious liberties, said on Twitter, "I'm thankful that we have a Supreme Court that won't allow politicians to ignore the Constitution's protections of religious liberty."
Together in this place of worship, your greatness we proclaim.
Church girl problems, God-given solutions. And I have with me Sheena Hansen. We're going to talk about one of the points that I found particularly interesting. And this is the one that says, I'm heavily concerned about men in the kingdom, either they're married and not satisfied, and looking outside of the marriage to be satisfied, that's one, or some of them insecure of their masculinity, trending fashionably or gay. Me is very concerned.
Whoa.
She says, I can't tell the difference who God's daughters for married.
Whoa. You know what? Mentorship is so important because, you know, men are going through things, going through changes, going through the feeling, the mixtures.
Right.
And mentorship is so important. But why are they so afraid to submit to leadership and like explain what's going on with them?
I mean, I'm not a man, but I probably can give a little bit of insight. I feel like men have like an ego.
Yes.
They have like an ego thing. So it's really hard for a man to just like submit to another man's authority, because you know a man always wants to be the one in control. Yeah, me want to be the man, me are the boss, you know. So it's like if me have to listen to our next man, no. And then also we're cultured in our society, and men are cultured, and even women, we grow our sons, you know, to not talk about their feelings. Yes. You know, not to cry, not to be emotional and stuff like that. And so men feel like they have to mask they have to put on this false manliness, right?
And what we need to do now is to keep them in prayer, because it's really an issue.
Yeah.
And persons are being affected, women are being hurt, girls are being hurt.
Yeah.
So we must pray for them
Yeah, but I also feel as if men also should take up the responsibility, because one of the issues that this young lady is talking about, she says, some of these men are married.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Some of these men are married and they're coming after her as a single woman in the church. And you know, we would sort of want to look to the men to really protect us and to be our priests, because that's what they're called to be, you know, to be the head of the household. And so when you find a man who is in marriage, who is married, who's supposed to have one wife, but gone out, say him gonna look somebody else, you know, that we find that to be like a real tough issue. And so I honestly believe that men should be responsible. But you have something to say.
Woman of God, it is a tough issue, because I've also experienced that we're married men in church.
Really?
Yes.
Talk to
So
me.
of course, yes. So it's really a tough issue when you're looking for them to protect you.
That's right.
But they're in other. You're not putting argument here, and it feels like you're not even comfortable anymore.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, it does. Another thing that she talks about, she says some of them, they're insecure in terms of their masculinity. Are they trending fashionably, or are they gay? I'm confused. She says she confused me, very confused, because some of these men, I'm telling you the truth, you know, them hot, you know, them dress up nice, you know, some of the things that they come in, I don't know, the pants a little bit too tight.
That's true, but I believe it's just some deep-seated insecurities and lack of self-confidence.
You better preach up in this.
Yeah, that's it. I just think that is it, because if you feel like you have to overdo the women, or to just like it's something.
No, but where this come from though? To feel as if you have to, your pants has to be that tight.
And it don't even look good though.
Yeah, it
It don't even look like.
Yeah, it don't look good. The tights don't look good. I mean, if it close a little bit, that kind of nice.
Yes.
But when they're tight, no, it may I wonder.
Yeah, that's
if I have to wonder if you're straight or if you're gay, that is a serious problem
and because it happens. Woman of God,
Teach
gays
me.
are in church. Men that love men are in church. So you cannot question us for wondering what's going on with those dressy things and those tight jeans. Like, you're not supposed to sexier than me, sir.
I love it. Thank you so very much, Sheena. So that was Church Girl Problems, God-Given Solutions. And we just want to thank you so very much for joining us. That's it for MTM TV's news magazine. Join us next week where we give you current affairs in a Christian context. I am Alicia Taylor and
I'm Sheena Hansen.
thank you so very much. Bye-bye.